Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everybody. Tonight is Wednesday, February 26th, 2025. This is live show 1158, which I falsely claimed was the number of last night's show. Yeah, I got my teleprompter going and I was like, wait a second, did I change that? Did I change that to the right number? No, I don't think so. I don't think I did. It's 1158. It wasn't. It was 1157. Tonight's show is 1158. Gosh, I think that's only the second time I've gotten the number of the show wrong. There's been times I got the date wrong, but not usually the show number. Regardless, welcome aboard, everybody. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And all throughout the month of February, we've been taking live first looks at game releases. And due to popular undemand, because I did roll this out as for a vote, I asked through my social media channels and the YouTube community page, would you, the viewer, want to see a live first look at the Dungeons & Dragons 2024 Monster Manual? And the answer was a resounding no, which is okay. That's fine with me. I am still going to be sharing my review. I'm hoping to get it shot this weekend. So, as I alluded to last night, tonight we're going to dive on in and take a first look at the eagerly anticipated Pathfinder 2nd Edition NPC Core from Paizo Inc. That's right. I usually do my Paizo preview video, which I will be sharing one for March, where I would give a quick peek inside everything that shows up, the flip mats, the adventure paths, whatever other books. Like we also have the Lost Omens Rival Academies, which is arriving on March 5th. But I thought a lot of people are very curious about this book, very excited about this book, because it's going to provide loads and loads of NPC templates for game masters to utilize at their game tables. So I thought, you know what? Let's take a little deeper dive into this book. Plus, I will be reviewing this. Sammy Uhas normally does our Pathfinder and Starfinder reviews. I dip in from time to time. I am going to be reviewing this in the not too distant future. So that is what we're going to be taking a peek at tonight. If you happen to be tuning in for the live first look, let me point out, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So we are not going to jump on into the Pathfinder NPC Core for probably about 35 minutes. So if you're hanging out watching live, kick back, put your feet up, relax. It's a hard world out there right now. You need a diversion, so relax, enjoy. But of course, a lot of folks don't watch live. They happen to watch after the fact, maybe even on Memorex. If that's the case, there will be timestamps in the show notes as well as in the timeline of the video that you can utilize if you want to jump straight on into the first look. Keep that in mind. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com For all the latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube, such as the aforementioned Sammy Uhas Pathfinder and Starfinder reviews, because those are written reviews. Won't find those on YouTube. Nope. Also, because this is a live stream, there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber to the channel for at least 10 minutes before you can take part in chat. But if you check that box, you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our chat moderator, the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D. She might be our only chat moderator tonight because I do know our friend, the Madman, pointed out that it is his Gaming Wednesday when he was hanging out in chat last night. So behave. Don't make Sarah bust out that glittery banhammer. W. Forge is also here, as is Keithulhu, Roger Perdome, Kathy Evans, Chris Lundgren, and Semper Buffo. Keithulhu says, when you've done over 1,000 live streams, I can see where things would get blurry. Well, they're not, it doesn't really get blurry. It was just, a lot of times I will actually put together my news ahead of time, like the day before, and I might leave like one news slot open for something that might break. And on occasion, I'll be like, wait a second, did I update the number of the show on my, it's not really a script. It's just, the news items. And last night was just one of those cases of, is it really 1,157 or did I forget to change that? And I made a decision. I guessed, and I guessed wrong. Chris Lundgren wanted to see the D&D Monster Manual first look tonight. He said he's sad, but his cocktail buddy will comfort him. Can your wife comfort you? Come on, I'm not taking anything away from Buddy. I'm sure Buddy's very comforting. Chris Lundgren says they're not investing in the revised edition after the open game license fiasco. He says scandal, I say fiasco. They bought second edition, sticking with that edition. All right. Oh, well, Chris says his wife is cooking. What? Man, boy. Although, it's kind of funny. Every relationship I've been in, I've been the cook. My ex-fiance, she would try to cook. She was really great at baking. She was just excellent at baking. Actual cuisine. Never forget. One time I got home from work and I would, like I said, I normally did all of the cooking. I do it to this day. I do all the cooking around here. And I got home. She was making spaghetti sauce. And it smelled all just awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, the whole apartment just, and I just got home from work. I'm hungry. I'm good to go. Sit down to have the spaghetti. It had absolutely zero taste. All the flavors must have been floating around in the air because they sure as shit were not in the sauce. Chris Lenner says, careful, Jeff. She's less than 10 feet away. We live in a small apartment. She's like, hey, I'm sticking up for her is what I'm saying. I'm like, how come you're not cooking? This is just a show. It's a stream. It's an internet show. You could be cooking and listening. She could be hanging out and chat with Buddy. Relationships are give and take, man. I'm joking. All right, so let's jump on into the news tonight because there is a new entry into the Tiny Epic Games line. It's up on Kickstarter for Gamelyn Games, and I've got the skinny on Tiny Epic Dungeon Adventures. Return to Ogmore in this follow-up to the smash hit Tiny Epic Dungeons. Tiny Epic Dungeons Adventures is a standalone all-new story within renowned characters to immerse you with the familiar and rich world of Ogmore. Tiny Epic Dungeon Adventures is backwards compatible with, yes, you guessed it, Tiny Epic Dungeons. Minions, mobs, loot, rooms, and spells can be used in either game. The Tiny Epic Dungeon system is designed to work together with all Tiny Epic Dungeons content. If you have Tiny Epic Dungeons in your collection of Tiny Epic games, it will make Tiny Epic Dungeon Adventures even better. How many times am I going to say Tiny Epic? If you are new to the, you guessed it, Tiny Epic Dungeon system, don't worry. You can get the entire game line through this Kickstarter. Tiny Epic Dungeon Adventures introduces exciting new mechanics and hidden secrets to the Tiny Epic Dungeon system, offering a rich and immersive experience. It features a campaign-style structure where players progress through an evolving story, unlocking new challenges and content as they complete each mission. So, you've got this dungeon booklet, which is spiral-bound, so it'll lay flat on the game-playing surface. The booklet works in tandem with Tiny Epic Dungeon system room cards. Combining the booklet and the room cards offers a robust experience of endless possibilities. When players leave the booklet area, they enter a more traditional dungeon crawl. As players move through the dungeon and the rooms are revealed as they step into them, however, players will encounter all new obstacles that make the dungeon crawl new and exciting. There is a Kickstarter video. That video is almost 3 minutes in length, so a little bit longer than normal. But let's take a peek.
Return to the enchanting realm of Ogmore with Tiny Epic Dungeon Adventures, a thrilling cooperative story-driven dungeon crawler designed for 1 to 4 players. This sequel builds on the beloved Tiny Epic Dungeon system, making all content from any Tiny Epic Dungeons game compatible, your adventure, your way. Discover a new saga with this standalone game, featuring brand new heroes with stunningly detailed miniatures, fresh loot, spells, dungeon rooms, and a host of new enemies. Dive into an immersive narrative through an adventure booklet, a spiral-bound dungeon booklet, secret chapter envelopes, and mysterious packages. Wondering how we pack such epic content into a Tiny Epic box? We've doubled the thickness. This is the most expansive Tiny Epic game yet. In Tiny Epic Dungeons Adventures, you're heroes for hire on a mission to save a cursed town, what some might call a simple quest. As your adventure progresses, you'll navigate through various chapters, revealing new content by opening envelopes. Flip to the chapter in your dungeon booklet, set up, and dive into the action. Encounter a book icon? Read the passage aloud and watch the story come to life. Introducing the new exploration mechanic. It's not just about battling monsters. Use keys to unlock hidden doors, bombs to blast through walls, and collect other essential tools that reveal secret pathways, turning every dungeon crawl into an exciting adventure. Complete your quest, then open new packages for more rooms, enemies, and challenges to keep your party on its toes. Can't finish in one session? Use the Chest of Continuation to store progress and pick up where you left off. The fast-paced, engaging gameplay of Tiny Epic Dungeons Adventures will have you coming back for more, eager to explore new dungeons and continue your epic story. But that's not all. You can enhance your adventure with the Phantom Voyage expansion, which brings new hero minis and a thrilling seafaring quest with even more secrets to uncover. Go deluxe with the Skyward Revenge mini-adventure, a side quest that integrates seamlessly into your main narrative, adding even more depth to your adventure. With these expansions, there's no better time than now to pledge your support and secure your copy of Tiny Epic Dungeons Adventures. Every dollar pledged on Kickstarter enhances the game for everyone. Don't wait. Become a backer today and step into the adventure.
This project blasted past its funding goal in minutes. You can reserve a copy of the base game for a $35 pledge. Grab the deluxe bundle, which includes a little mini expansion and some other items too, for a $49 pledge. Or you can even score both the deluxe edition of Tiny Epic Dungeons and Tiny Epic Dungeons Adventures for an $89 pledge through March 21st. Expected delivery on the Tiny Epic Dungeons Adventures is January of next year. Very cool. I actually have Tiny Epic Dungeons. I've got quite a bit of stuff for it because I actually bought it. It was, I want to say it was being fulfilled on backer kits, and I picked it up. I got it. Strangely enough, we've never gotten it to the table. Which, if you follow the gaming gang, you know, getting board games to the table for review over the past, say, 6 months has not been easy. It has not been easy at all. So, sadly enough, I have not stayed on top of the various different Tiny Epic releases. There was Tiny Epic Crime, Tiny Epic Cthulhu was another of their more recent games. I think they teamed up with the Op for Tiny Epic Game of Thrones. So it's like, whoa. W Forge says they wonder how replayable it is. Well, I'll tell you what, from my experience with any of the Tiny Epic game line, tons and tons of replayability. Now with this, because it does have that little booklet, I don't know. I would assume, yeah, you're going to get replayability out of it. So there are some additional heroes, which I believe are being unlocked through stretch goals. Last I looked, and that was yesterday when I started putting this news piece together, I want to say that there's already a 5th hero that has been unlocked that you will get the miniature for. And then, of course, the character card and stuff like that. Quite a few people have been commenting about the Cubs jersey. That's right. This is my Ron Santo jersey. I have had this jersey for about 30 years. No joke. I've had it about 30 years. And it was funny when I lived in Arizona and I would go to the Diamondbacks Cubs games, of course, in my Cubs gear. I would be walking through, they've changed the name of the ballpark umpteen times. I don't even know what it's called now. But at that point, I want to say it was still the Bob Bank of America ballpark. And I'd be walking with, because I'd always have a friend come with, or I'd bring somebody, whoever I was dating at the time or whatever. We'd go to the game. And there would actually be Cubs fans who would like point me out, and you'd hear him say, "Oh, that's a real Cubs fan. That's a real Cubs fan. He's wearing a Ron Santo jersey." They'd be like, yeah, big Cubs fan. All righty then, let's move on to our next news piece, because Paleo Games has released Dr. Drolin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Keith Lulu points out it's Chase Field now. Yeah, it's been Chase Field for a while, now that I think about it. So Sean O'Donnell says, didn't Santos switch horses to the Sox? If memory serves, the Cubs traded him to the Sox, and he played a year there. The Sox players disliked him intensely because they didn't do things the Cubs way. Gotta remember, when Santa was a Cub, the Cubs were pretty good. Granted, they didn't go to a World Series or anything, but anyway, Dr. Drollin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs, a whopping 304 pages of stunning, illustrated, scientifically accurate, and dynamically designed content. This book allows you to flood your Pathfinder 2nd Edition games with paleontology-themed content. Also provides digestible scientific information about our world's past. This book includes 57 new Mesozoic creatures with dynamic stat blocks, with a further 55 alternative magical variants, 20 new Mesozoic plant species with in-game rules, 20 new paleontology-themed NPCs, 6 new playable races, 3 new subclasses, 3 new backgrounds, 4 holistic environments with in-game effects, 8 new feats, 30 new items, plot hooks and story ideas, tables for evolutionary mutations, tables for realistic behavior, tables for naming dinosaurs, rules for taming and riding dinosaurs, as well as an introduction to paleontology and paleontological, so that 5 times fast, everybody, reconstructions, as well as stunning full-page artwork. Dun, dun, dun. So I think this is not 304 pages. I think this is actually 328 pages. One of the two. Does carry an MSRP of approximately $31. That is the PDF for Pathfinder. The physical book is not available yet. The physical book for 5e has been out for a bit. So I think they kickstarted this. And I do believe there's actually a second volume of Dr. Drollin's Dictionary of Dinosaurs, which is going to be hitting Kickstarter shortly. So if and when that happens, I will probably share some news of it, because this looks like a pretty sweet book. Gotta say, the artwork is phenomenal. I remember sharing news about the Kickstarter back in the day because I recognize a lot of this art in these layouts. Very, very nice. Keith Lewis says they'd like to play in a Land of the Lost or Land That Time Forgot campaign with this book. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Should also point out, Gleamwin RX, Sean O'Donnell, who I've already pointed out, talking about Ron Santo, and Jose Fernandez are also in chat with us tonight. W. Ford says, any stats for Slee Stacks? No, not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. Moving right along, there is a new supplement for Deadlands Lost Colony, the Savage Worlds Adventure Edition setting. It is up for crowdfunding for Pinnacle Entertainment Group, and I've got the scoop on Deadlands Lost Colony, Mad World. In the farthest reaches of the cosmos, the last remnants of humanity struggle to survive on Banshee, a living planet teeming with alien creatures and corrupt magic. Mad World is the second of 3 supplements continuing the Reckoner plot arc, which began in the Deadlands Lost Colony core book. War and famine have fallen, and now it's Pestilence's turn. This 96-page hardback supplement moves the story of the Lost Colony toward its epic climax and details the deadly region on Banshee known as the Toxic Jungle and the nearby city of Seaside. Mad World also encompasses a 6-part plot point campaign that covers Pestilence's desperate bid to create a plague so virulent it could kill Banshee herself. The posse must overcome lockdowns, infected walking dead, berserk Anuks, poisonous critters, and the nefarious Reapers if they hope to stop the Lord of Flies in time. New savage tales and new enemies add depth to the proceedings and opportunities for adventures beyond the campaign. In addition to all that, Mad World has new options for heroes, new edges and hindrances for Enoch and Banshee-born explorers accustomed to the rigors of the toxic jungle, a little something for Harrowed too. New gear and weapons to help the posse survive, including new mods to trick out your Land Rover. Mad World requires Savage Worlds Adventure Edition and, obviously enough, Deadlands Lost Colony in order to play. The Backer Kit project is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the physical book with PDF for a $30 pledge. If you want to just score the PDF alone, you can do that for a $15 pledge through March 13th. The expected delivery of the PDF is approximately this April. Physical book should arrive by January 2026 if past Pinnacle Entertainment Group crowdfunding projects are any indication, because normally we see the PDFs about a month or so after the projects end, and then about 10 months or so for the physical book to be released. There we go. There we go. Keith Lewis says, Lord of Flies, help me, help me. Yeah, that's a deep, well, I don't know. Maybe that's not such a deep cut there. It is a little bit. It is a little bit. And I will say, I remember as a kid seeing that film and catching the end of it, and that freaked the shit out of me. I think I was probably about 9 years old, and it was on, I think it was one of these afternoon movies or something. And because I remember bits and pieces of the actual film. And then at the end, then whatever reason, I was right in front of the TV. Help me, help me. Yes. Moving right along. Chaosium Inc. has teamed once again with Humble Bundle to bring back a fantastic, and I mean fantastic, money-saving offer on practically everything which is available for the current edition of RuneQuest. Yes, I got the deets on the deal. Your gateway to a tabletop role-playing game classic. Discover the legendary and beloved tabletop RPG RuneQuest, where heroes are forged in the fires of myth and magic. This bundle includes everything you need to treat your group to endless adventure in the rich, storied world of Glorantha. The RuneQuest starter set will get you up and running, including rulebooks, adventures, pre-generated characters, and more. The Red Book of Magic is an essential source book packed with new rules for magic and a wizard's library of spells to add to your campaign. The Pegasus Plateau and Other Stories contain 7 adventures that'll transport your group to some of Glorantha's most thrilling locales. Now, you can jump aboard for as little as $1, and that gets you the awesome starter set, which I have reviewed, of course. You can go all in for a minimum donation of $18 or more to receive the 19 PDFs which are on offer. Once again, as I mentioned, this is, in essence, practically everything that is in print from Chaosium Inc. for the current edition of RuneQuest, $18. Of course, in PDF. Now, these savings will run through March 15th, and your purchase will benefit code.org. Gotta say, and we'll probably have a little bit of a discussion about this later on in the show about the pricing of gaming right now, tabletop gaming, and of course, role-playing games. But I tell people all the time, keep your eyes peeled for the bundles, especially Humble Bundle, because like clockwork, we get at least one major role-playing game offer on Humble Bundle each month, and they are just rocking deals. In fact, right now, we still actually have, and I talked about this last week in a news piece, we still have that Pathfinder Kingmaker going on, where it's all the Kingmaker stuff that came out for Pathfinder, as well as the remastered starter set, core rule book. So W. Forge says they hope that they bring back the Cthulhu bundle. Pretty sweet. Gleeman RX says, plus the bundle actually has a 15% coupon, which is good, at the Chaosium website. Yes, that is also true. If you want to pick up anything in actual print, you certainly can. But yeah, this is just an absolute smashing deal. Diesel Shot is popping on into chat just in time for me to say, now available from Diesel Shot comes the Change Stars role-playing game. I've got the skinny. Only from the darkness may we see the stars. The indomitable human empire vaulted itself majestically dick first into space. Yes, those are the actual words there. On wings of angels and the backs of warlike men and ambitious women, the unprecedented union of Earth's disparate global powers set forth to the heavens for glory, profit, and conquest. Slowly at first, this powerful force overtook the rest of humanity and beyond. They spread across Orion's arm, taking planets like notches on their belts, voraciously consuming cosmic resources, subjugating sentient species as they found them, and annihilating some wholesale. Like a cancerous tumor, humanity surged ever onwards, tainting the stars unchecked, until humanity came upon a Murai hive world, cleansing the planet of its inhabitants in a corporate-backed military action dubbed Cloudfall. Humanity declared war on the insectoid spacefarers, expecting to crush them like bugs. Humanity lost the war. The Murai had allies. The year is now 50 after Origin, 50 standard solar years since the formation of the Trinity, and humanity has been given a new lease on life. After Cloudfall, the Murai and their historic trade partners, the socially complex mammal-like Thren, formed a wartime alliance known as the Coalition of Sister Species to defend the Murai from human invasion. Realizing that simply repelling humanity would solve nothing, the coalition resolved to end the threat of the human empire in its entirety. After 50 long years of interplanetary warfare, death, destruction, and despair, the sister species claimed the imperial capital of Mars. The Great Transition followed for another 50 years. After much violence and toil and uprising, humanity rose to form the Artemisin Commune, I'm sure I mispronounced that, and joined with the sister species to create the first truly multi-species stellar polity in Orion's arms history, the Trinity. They stand together against the Void's dangerous indifference in all sources of aggression and exploitation from without and within. The war ended 100 years ago. This is the story of how and if the peace is won. The 304-page hardcover will be arriving probably in the next quarter or so. It will carry an MSRP of $50, but right now you can actually score the PDF over at Drive-Thru RPG for $30. And I should also point out, yes, we do have a representative for Diesel Shot hanging out in chat with us. So if you happen to have any questions about it, fire away. I'm sure they will be very happy to answer your question for $1. But we're actually going to get a chance to see this because the fine folks over at Diesel Shot, I believe it is a partnership. There are a couple of folks, a couple of creators reached out, asked me if I'd be interested in checking this out for review. And I had emailed back and I said, well, because I thought it was just a PDF, right? And I said, well, yeah, I only shoot video. So I only do physical items. And I got an email back saying, hey, well, I guess they're fulfilling their Kickstarter right now. So they have physical copies. So we're going to get to check it out. We are going to get to check it out. So, yes, Diesel Shot says, they're thinking they put too many proper nouns in that bit. Yes, I will agree with you on that. I was like, all right, what's going on here? Who busted out their thesaurus when they were writing up this sell sheet info? What's going on here? So sweet. Very, very nice. So they are, once again, fulfilling their crowdfunding, and then they're going to put these books out on offer. And the thing that kind of caught my eye is that it is inspired by a lot of female-driven science fiction. So, like Ursula Le Guin, I think that's how it was pronounced. I've heard people say Le Guin, Le Guin. I thought it was Le Guin. At least I can pronounce Anne McCaffrey. Nice going, Jeff. I thought that was very interesting. Very, very interesting. I'm sure, of course, it's going to rub some people wrong. But, there's no getting around that these days, right? Yes, yes. All right. So that was it for the news tonight. Of course, I was talking about Drive-Thru RPG. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit Drive-Thru RPG or Storyteller's Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, even Wargame Vault, stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banner ads. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5%, 5% of your purchase and all those nickels, dimes, and quarters. And yes, sometimes it is nickels from somebody's purchase. Do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Also, if you like the video, and if you have time, try to appease the YouTube algorithm gods by leaving a comment on the video. But at least, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, period, or if you just simply like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make a small donation. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. Oh, that's delicious. And this month, we have had some folks pop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and make not small donations, such as Joshua Edwards, Lisa Watkins, the Madman, Envision Internet Services, and then, of course, we do have the generous donation of the funds that got us a copy of Dark Tower, which we did take a first look at, of which I am sworn not to reveal who that person is. They know who they are. Wallona's Cave is joining us once again. Hi, Wallona's Cave. Good to see you. Looks like we've got a halfway decent chat rocking and rolling tonight. Cleveland RX says, it rhymes with Masita. Yeah, I have to get that in there, right? Got to get my Mouse Ritter pronunciation out there. I don't know. It's because German is so like guttural as a language. And I'm just always thinking of You know, when I hear German, doesn't matter what it is. I always think of like World War II movies. And Wallona's Cave with a super chat. Thank you very kindly for $9.99. Any car, any color. $99.99 here at Earl Shop. Anyhow, oh, hey, I see Flaming Herons popped on in to chat. So we've got a couple of chat moderators tonight. All righty. So as I mentioned earlier, we are going to dive on in. We are going to take a first look at Pathfinder NPC Core in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
That's a good idea. I do feel a little hungry and thirsty.
Okay, let's go to the lobby for a snack. Whoa! Hey, where you all are going?
Why, we're going to the lobby for some of that delicious popcorn.
Popcorn? Hey, wait for old Tex. I'm hungry, too.
Hi there, Tex. Have some popcorn. Beats hay any day.
Well, dust my britches. Just look at that. Candy, popcorn, cold drinks, everything. That's right, folks.
Hi, I'm Chili Dilly, the personality pickle. Packed in a jar for the freshest flavor. Served cold in a sack for you to savor. So dainty to eat, no muss, no fuss. An ideal snack for all of us. Crisp, tender, and tasty with a bit of spice. Buy one now. Taste how nice. Snack bar clerks will knock themselves silly, speeding your order for a real Chili Dilly.
Hiya, hiya, hiya. They're shrimply delicious. Hiya, hiya, hiya. You'll go for that mouth-watering, taste-tempting, meaty shrimp mixture all wrapped up in a crispy noodle jacket. It's a treat you can't beat. So come on, join the folks that are getting fresh, crispy Flavo shrimp rolls now at the snack bar. They're shrimply delicious.
If you love almonds,
Almonds? Yeah.
really love almonds,
I do.
I do.
I do.
You'll love the Mars Almond Bar. So many almonds, you get an almond in every bite.
An almond in every bite, right. Yeah.
Plus real milk chocolate. So get an almond in every bite. Mars Almond Bar. And now Mars Sprint Bar and Mars Crunchy Chocolate Bar. The best chocolate on Earth comes from Mars.
This thing's sinking. Better throw out that Wilkins Instant Coffee.
Just me and Wilkins Instant for 80 whole days.
Oh my God, Renee dumped you.
You're dumping me?
Why are we sitting here trying to figure out where we went wrong with our significant others?
Well, you know what I think's sick? This relationship.
There is something out there that can help ease our simultaneous double loss.
Ritual suicide?
No, you idiot, the fucking mall. Brandy is the past. You face forward, or you face the possibility of shock and damage.
Where the hell did that come from? What's going on here?
You know about this game show thing they got going on here? Well, we need you guys to somehow ensure that it doesn't happen.
Is that it? We're gonna do that anyway.
Really, why?
What else are we gonna do? Sal Bobby stole a schematic and found a weakness just like the fucking Death Star. Only problem is LaForge. Who's LaForge? You don't know what LaForge is? Phase 1. First you take a run at LaForge with the sock full of quarters. Clock him on his headpiece and knock his ass out cold.
Is that ingenuity or what?
Jesus Christ, you knocked him out.
Now hit him!
Some have to do fun parties and you get to jump on into social class. Stuck in that it's hard to pass their social norms and social rules. With social scale, with social rules.
Holy shit! Aren't you?
Oh, Stanley. Hi.
Fun
Classic. Classic. Although I'm probably a bigger fan of Mallrats than a lot of people out there. I always thought Mallrats was hysterical, and so did my friends. And yes, I do know the proper usage of the word hysterical. I don't sit there and say everything is hysterical. Oh, man, we were standing in line at McDonald's, man. It was hysterical. No, it wasn't. But there are actually some lines from the movie that we still use as running gags. If you've seen it, I'll give you a great example. If you've seen it, you'll recognize it. Like if somebody's talking about something that is like inappropriate, I'll go, Jesus Christ. There's some things we don't talk about in public. Sean O'Donnell says they were 10 when they saw Mallrats, so some of that went over their head. Flaming Heron said they're not laughing. Well, I will say it wasn't like the greatest parts of the movie that they were sharing there. It honestly, that is kind of a crappy trailer. There was the other trailer, the original trailer, which I wanted to share. Sadly, it's got music on it that was flagging for copyright. So, sorry, couldn't share that one. I thought it was actually a better trailer. Alrighty then. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to dive on in and take a look at the Pathfinder NPC Core from Paizo Inc. This 240-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $69.99. When it arrives March 5th, the PDF will also be available then for $19.99. So remember, a few moments ago, I was talking about the price of gaming. $69.99? 240-page hardcover? Really? Really, Paizo Inc? Really? Let's double check. Yes, $69.99 right there. Well, this is why you keep your eyes peeled at Bundle of Holding and Humble Bundle, because granted, they're PDFs, but still, that's how you stock up on all the RPG goodness so that you can have the funds available to pick up the NPC Core. I got to say, I mean, usually I try to avoid discussing pricing on game books nowadays, but still, $69.99 for 240 pages just is out of whack. Populate your world. Devotees of the gods, cunning mercenaries, fun-loving performers, crafty engineers, devious villains, and more all have roles in your game with Pathfinder NPC Core. Containing over 250 stat blocks for NPCs, you can drop all kinds of characters into your game, from merchants and farmers to masters of magic and martial arts. The NPCs are crafted to be fun and easy to use, with sets of adjustments to quickly change their ancestry, level, and more. You'll also find a trove of NPCs specific to non-human ancestries, like a dwarf general, goblin git gang, and kobold egg guardian. Each section of NPCs is themed and includes lore, custom rules, and random tables to spice up your gameplay. Never find yourself making up statistics on the fly again. You can find everything you need in Pathfinder NPC Core. Wellness games like farmers. Warren Rawlings is with us tonight. Welcome aboard. All right. So, first thing we're going to do, let's take a peek at the credits page, because there were loads of people who worked on this. These are all the authors right here. That's why I wasn't reading them off. W4 says, the quote, Egon Spengler, print is dead. So lots of interior artists also. Of course, this is the art piece that I am using for our thumbnail for tonight's video right here. Very nice. All right, few things we want to discuss before we jump on in. First of all, my friends over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough, maybe after I talk about it being $69.99, they won't be so friendly anymore, but still, my friends over at Paizo Inc. were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. And as always, it is important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside Pathfinder NPC Core. It says this is going to refer to several other Pathfinder products. However, these additional supplements are not required to make use of the book. So it looks like Monster Core and Player Core 2 are going to be referenced. So we've got our introduction. So we get a breakdown of how do you read these stat blocks. So this is playing creatures and adjusting creatures. We see our sidebar icons. And we'll get started here. So we've got troops. So the various different sections we've got artisan, courtier, criminal, devotee, downtrodden. Hey, that's me. Engineer, explorer, healer, laborer, martial artist, maverick, mercenary, military, mystic, official, performer, primalist, scholar, seafarer, and villain. Warren Rollins says they're looking forward to this pawn pack. They need some tieflings and dragonborn. Pathfinder doesn't have dragonborn, so they have to use lizard men. I got to say, I was kind of surprised, real quick, that, and I don't have anything against Wayne Reynolds' artwork. Kind of surprised they used it on the cover because Pathfinder 2nd Edition and Remaster, of course, have tried to go with a less cartoonish look to their artwork compared to 1st Edition. So I'm kind of surprised by that. So, talking about troops, artisan guilds, cartographers, scroll keepers, plumbers, and sewer workers. And now we are going to get into the courtiers. So palace guard, spy, veteran noble. Not a lot of fluff, I guess we'll say. So as an example, we've got the fence, like that leg breaker. It's like, geez. A quiche, taking a guess at the pronunciation there. I'm sure I completely screwed that up. Is with us in chat. I believe it's a first-time visit. Said they'll work with him until they can't. His art is Pathfinder. Yeah, I understand that. I get it. I tend to see a lot more of it with the 1st Edition stuff. But yeah, we usually get some Wayne Reynolds art in the 2nd Edition releases. Chuck Terrell's with us as well tonight. So welcome aboard. I see Matthew Blackwell is also with us. Said they were just watching the Troll Lords and Luke Gygax talk about Castle Zig. That is a Kickstarter coming next week. March 3rd is when that's going to launch. So it's more releases in the Castle Zagyig lineup. So very nice. Very nice. Matthew Blackwell's trying to throw everybody off with the spelling there. So yeah, I already know that's going to kick off March 3rd. Should also mention the Foundry module for Castles and Crusades, at least for the player's handbook, is supposed to be ready sometime around March 10th. And I will actually be getting a copy of it. So we're going to take a peek, see what's cooking there. So here we got our devotees. So I started as an example saying that there isn't a ton of fluff, which is fine. It's okay. It says for pilgrims traverse the land spurred on by some holy reason, be it to visit a sacred place or follow a prophetic vision. Then boom, there's the pilgrim, the penitent man. Yes. Penitent. Kneels. Atonement is seen as an ultimate act of supplication for those who have wronged their faith. Repentance takes several forms: acts of service, pilgrimage, flagellation, or divine quests. Artwork looks really solid throughout this. Very nicely done. So more devotees there. Here we've got the downtrodden. Unfortunately, every society has people living on its fringes. So you got the beggar, the prisoner, the drunkard. Hey, that's me. Every tavern has one, that person intent on forgetting their sorrows along with everything else. Though many are harmless, a few have a hair trigger. A cavalcade of misfortune. So we've got a random table here for what was the misfortune that sent them on their alcoholic spiral. Thrown out on the street by a greedy landlord. Mind was experimented on at a magical academy. Now we get into engineers. We've got the toy maker. Actually, this is quite a bit of info here. The whimsy of a toy maker is only matched by their ruthlessness when cornered. Really? Okay. Most of their creations are designed solely for the enjoyment of others. However, every toy maker knows, whether through failed designs or intentional creations, how to turn their toys into dangerous weapons. They are often hesitant to use toys in such ways, and more often than not, they will attempt to solve problems with diplomacy first. Some toy makers have fully turned to the profession of making deadly toys. Now we know why all those toys were on that island. They weren't misfits. They were killers. They often have dangerous patrons or nefarious intentions. Some use dangerous toys as a means of vigilantism, while others use them as a means to sneak weapons into guarded areas. There you go. So there's your toy maker. And some info about firearms. So we got some black powder weapons there. Now we get into some explorers. The expedition leader. Full-scale expeditions require a central leader. Expedition leaders tend to have level heads in dangerous situations and can make decisions quickly when time is of the essence. So we get some of the breakdowns here of like important attribute modifiers. We get their perception bonus, languages, skills, items, familiarity with the land. The expedition leader isn't affected by severe weather and ignores difficult terrain. Okay, so if they're an explorer, how would they be familiar with the land? Yeah, weird. Kind of weird. So Chris Lundgren's talking about buying D&D 3.5 3 months before 4th edition came out. as I've talked about before, uh, my main experiences with D&D would be OD&D, mainly AD&D. And then by 1980, probably 83, 84, we had already moved on to other games. So of course, I was running Call of Cthulhu. Elliot ran some Stormbringer. We had some friends running Morrow Project. So that was another one that we all had copies of. Really cool ballistic system. The rest of it, useless. I mean, no rules for anything, really. In fact, here's a little inside baseball nugget. So Morrow Project is a post-apocalyptic role-playing game. And they ended up licensing essentially basic role-playing for a skill system to use with Morrow Project. It was like an expansion. W. Forge says they're expecting the D&D core books tomorrow. Very nice. Very cool. Once again, I'm reviewing the Monster Manual, and I already started, in on it, because I'm hoping to shoot that this weekend. I'm liking what I see. I mean, there's some stuff that I'm kind of like, but for the most part, I know people are going to leave comments. Jeff, you're a sellout, man. You're just sharing that review for views. Yeah, right. Okay. It's like, yeah, because content creators, we release stuff so people won't watch it. It's like, come on. But this essentially right here, this is another monster manual for Pathfinder. Granted, they are NPCs, but once again, you're going to utilize these NPCs in combat and things like that all the time. Ooh, the arms dealer. So these are mavericks. These are lone wolves who have an aura of mystery, bravado, and swagger. We got the musketeer. So yes, if you're going to have a musketeer, you've got to have black powder weapons, because it can't be a musketeer without a musket. Here's our mercenaries. So we've got bodyguards, bounty hunter, monster hunter, siege breaker. When a well-constructed or magically warded fortification repels every assault, a siege breaker is called in. These masters of alchemical destruction find that the bigger and more protected the wall, the more satisfying it is to break it. We get some mercenary company names. Kind of cool that mixed throughout these various different categories of NPCs, we get some new rules, some random tables and stuff like that. That's kind of cool. So here, as an example, we're looking at military NPCs, and then we get into military objectives, guerrilla adjustments, troop formations, military slang. So not a ton of information, but then again, I mean, we're not looking at trying to simulate mass battles with the rules that are in here. Now we've got mystics. So we've got cult leaders, curse monger. I will say some of the artwork looks a little muted. That maybe, I guess what I'm probably mean to say is it seems like the artwork's a little darker than it maybe should be, because it looks like a lot of line work is getting kind of lost in the shadow. I don't know. I mean, I like the artwork. it just doesn't seem to pop as much. Now that pops a little bit more. No, it's like, now granted, I am getting a little bit of glare that you're not seeing from the camera, or I should say from the lighting. You're not seeing it on camera. I can see it here. So it does kind of wash it out. But I guess it's all right. Okay, so these are officials. The Infernal Registrar, the Grand Inquisitor, Sandan Glocta. We get into performers, dancers, acrobats, jugglers, court jester, beast tamer. Looks like we got a few of the entertainers here. Now we've got our primalists, druid initiate, mountain guardian. Chris Leinrich says, I like the idea of a just NPC book like this. Is there any product out there similar to this in the OSR? I have not had an opportunity to check it out, but it is a book by Skirples. It's the Monster Overhaul. And it's got not only the monsters, but it's got sections for like townspeople and stuff like that. Reading Aid is with us tonight. Good to see you. Let's see. We are at, I like that. The artwork is, the pages are actually blocking off the category. That's funny. So we're looking at scholars here. The Eldritch Emeritus. To outsiders, the Eldritch Emeritus looks something like a joke. A befuddled old scholar, their mind so stuffed with obscure theorems and abstract metaphysics that concerns about mere daily reality fade away. Those who know them, however, know that the Eldritch Emeritus wrote more treatises of spells than most wizards have had hot dinners, and if sufficiently annoyed, is entirely capable of providing a brief, thorough, and fatal demonstration. Well. Matthew Blackwell says, the only thing about old Dungeons & Dragons they don't like is Thaco. And not a fan. Not a fan. And race as class. I am with you on that. So like, as far as like old school essentials goes, if I were running old school essentials, I would do advanced fantasy because they do have that separation if you want. Walona's Cave says, referring to the tabletop role-playing game prices you mentioned, the only reason their products are priced so low is because they do their own artwork, which makes it harder, unfortunately, but artwork is so expensive. I get that. I understand that. And if you do follow the gaming gang, you know that I do not promote anything that utilizes AI art. That is my official position because I look at AI artwork as theft. I mean, to me, it's piracy. You already know I am not a fan of pirates, and I do some things to try to make up for piracy for some of the publishers out there. So anyway, we've got Seafarers, the Ocean Nomad, the Laws of the Sea. I know I just popped past this. Diesel Shot was pointing out it's quite the trick with print. Says they wonder if some of these pieces weren't intended for different backdrops, ink density, paper types. That is a possibility. That is very, very possible. Because, of course, we already know that color artwork, especially, really the paper stock, the paper style can have a lot to do with it. So I mean, it's not terrible. It's just some stuff looks kind of muted here. So these are villains, villainous motives, revenge, power, misery. Whether from spurned affection or lost opportunities, this villain wants everyone else to join them in suffering. Come on down. Enjoy the suffering. Reading a caught my Joe Abercrombie reference there with Sandan Galacta. Nice. I'm actually listening to that original trilogy again. Because I'm telling you, if you have not heard the first Law and the standalone books and then the second trilogy, which I'm trying to remember what that title goes by. Price of Hatred or something along those lines. The voice artist that they use is fantastic. Some of the best sounding audiobooks I have ever heard. So that's why I don't mind re-listening to them again, because I don't recall their name offhand, but he is fantastic. Keith Ula says they heard AI art described as plagiarism, and that's how they look at it. That's an apt term. Yeah, I can see that. I certainly could see that. I saw somebody give a thumbs up for the Monster Overhaul. Like I said, I haven't had an opportunity to check it out, but it looks really good. It looks really good. And if I remember correctly, I think it is statted specifically for OSE, which obviously means you can use it with any retro clone that's out there. So we've got some ancestry adjustments. So for catfolk, halflings, goblins, orcs, rat folk, it looks like we're going to get a bit of a, is this kind of a bestiary? Maybe not. Oh, okay. So here we go. So we've, this is where we're going to find that dwarven general. So here we've got some ancestry NPCs. They're speaking of the dwarves. Dwarf Smith, Dwarf Battalion, Dwarf General right there. There we go. Some dwarf names, curses and exclamations. Son of a... Matthew Blackwell says they use AI art for their own games that they run for character art and NPCs. All right, kick Matthew out of here. I'm joking. Sean Donald says they think a lot of people do. Yeah, if you're just doing stuff for your game table, that's fine. I don't see an issue with that. Some artists might. I don't know. Because you're utilizing their work or derivatives of their work, and they're not receiving any compensation. But myself personally, I mean, if you're doing stuff where it's like, okay, so I need some NPC portraits, boom, 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 I don't have a problem with that. So we've got some gnomes. We've got goblins, the big boss goblin. Matthew Blackwell says, fine, I'm leaving. Sweet. I like this. This looks pretty cool. And yes, the pricing, I'm sure the artwork's got a lot to do with it, because essentially we're seeing every entry has multiple pieces of art. So like the Leshy here, now granted, every single NPC doesn't. So like here we've got the Root Leshy Groundskeeper. There's no image there, but you can kind of get an idea from the Tumbleweed Leshy, Corn Leshy. All right. Here's our lizard folk. Tidewater Guard, Masked Mummer. Got our Orcs, our Tengu, Creature Companions. Well, look at this. And what did I skip? So we had a few new ones. Trained Bat, Experienced Hound, Veteran Warhorse, Themed Spell Lists. You can swap out an NPC spell list for another one that fits their theme, or choose a themed spell list for an NPC of your creation. This makes your spellcasters more notable, so these lists are meant to convey a theme rather than provide an NPC spellcaster the wide suite of options that player characters often seek. That is a nice addition. Very cool. Sample organizations. The Esoteric Order of the Palatine Eye is a semi-secret society of wealthy scholars and philosophers. Based out of Yuslav, with a fascination for Assyrian, the order believes in the power of self-enlightenment, and that knowledge can be dangerous in the hands of those of ill intent. They strive to unlock the esoteric secrets of existence, but they also hoard much of that knowledge, sharing it only with those they deem virtuous enough to warrant membership. Oh, well, the elites, I see. And who did we just have pop in? I think I just saw somebody popping on into chat. Wilderness Cave wonders what the right mix of art for books with bestiaries NPCs would be. Like Dungeon World has a huge bestiary with absolutely no artwork, lower cost, faster to create, but no artwork. Yeah. Well, you know, I look at it this way. Depending on the size of the publisher, and yes, I get it, artwork can be really expensive. There are a good number of stock art options which are out there. So that is something that people can look at. I got to be honest, I don't have any time for someone who contacts me and says, hey, Jeff, I'd like you to review our game, and then I'll go take a look at the link. And the artwork is obviously AI generated. And I'll email them back and say, hey, you know, I don't promote products that utilize AI generated art. AI assisted art, it's a little bit of a different story, but usually what you're seeing is AI created artwork. And I always get people who write me back emails and they're pissed. And they're like, well, you know, don't you realize there's only 3 of us who are working on this book? And it's sort of like, okay, I get it. I understand that. But there are people out there who are solo creators releasing content, and it's got like stock art. That's fine. That's all right. But yeah, it's kind of weird where, you know, it'd be one thing. I mean, I will get some folks who write back and say, hey, you know, I completely understand, Jeff. Not a problem. Thanks a lot. But then from time to time, I'll get somebody who's, you know, whose attitude is kind of like, what are you, an asshole? Right? You're not going to review something that's got AI artwork in it? What are you, an asshole? You're like, well, yeah, I am. I don't know what to tell you. Just like I don't like pirates. Sorry. All right. So that was a peek inside the NPC Core for Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remaster from my friends over at Paizo Inc. This 240-page hardcover is arriving on March 5th. I will also share a quick look inside for my March Paizo preview, but not as much as we've seen tonight. It is going to carry an MSRP of $69.99 when it arrives. The PDF will also be available March 5th. That will carry an MSRP of $19.99. 99 cents. Very cool. Very cool. Flaming Heron says, well, you're entitled to not review something. It's your show. Well, I mean, it's my channel. I don't do reviews on the show anymore. I haven't done a review on the live stream in at least a year. Well, maybe not. But it's been quite a while, and I don't plan on going back to it. Doing first looks, fairly easy. The biggest problem about doing live first looks is praying that I don't stumble over something that I'm trying to read. That's why when I'm doing like the news and stuff, I'll be like, English, Jeff, use it. Be like, but yeah, that's the biggest thing with doing like live first looks, and especially with like role-playing game releases. When I'm reading passages and stuff like that, it's like, oh, please. And every once in a while, if you watch the show and that, I'll hit something and it's like, I'll do the pronunciation. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you, Jeff? It's pronounced this. Dummy, big dummy. Okay, so there is some discussion here about Seth Skorkowski. Pete Stracklich says Seth charges for reviews. I've got no issue with people who charge for reviews, because when I do Kickstarter previews, which are essentially a review that doesn't get a review score because it's not the finished product, I charge for that. But I also tell people right up front, hey, I've been compensated for this video. Even though I'm going to be, straight up and tell you what I think of this, I have been compensated. And that is the main reason why, if you're watching one of my reviews, or even with the first looks like tonight, I had mentioned, I received this book as a review copy from Paizo Inc. I have not received anything else for me to share this with you. So I am not being monetarily or otherwise compensated outside of, yes, I got this for free, which pisses some people off too. Some people don't believe reviewers should receive free items. And it's sort of like, well, problem is, especially if you're a small content creator, you can't afford, you're lucky if you can afford to create the content, let alone go out there and pick stuff up. So, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, as long as Seth points out at some point in his videos that he's been paid for that review, big deal. I'll tell you what I had a beef with. I don't know if they still do it anymore, because I say this and I don't think people believe me, but it is true. I really don't look to see what other people who cover the hobby are doing. I very rarely do. It's because I just don't have time. And, if you're fairly new to the channel, my real job is taking care of my dad. So that's what I spend a majority of my time doing. So I only have a finite amount of time away from that. So, if I'm covering games and I'm reading game books, trying to get like board games to the table with the gang so we can get reviews out for them. And if I want to watch a Cubs game or something like that, right? Which I will normally do while I'm working on stuff for the website, I don't have time to sit there and be like, oh, hey, what's Man versus Meeple doing? But that's who I had the issue with. Man versus Meeple. What they used to do is I don't know if they still do it or not. I don't know the folks, but I thought it was a little shifty, a little shady, because if you are compensated for a video on YouTube, you have to market. you have to indicate that, yes, you have been compensated for that video. So what Man versus Meeple would do is they would actually talk about their compensation after the whole video was over. It was like one of the last things that you would see. And it was like, all right, come on. Come on. All righty. So, see, I think we had a few more people popping on in. Mark Huxwell is joining us again, said they're definitely not a fan of AI art in any capacity. I prefer a no art book to an AI art book. I would agree with you on that. Chris Lundgren says the basic expert has great RPGs and no AI and fair price games like Cow Punchers. Flaming Your Head says, English, mother trucker. Do you speak it? Diesel Shot says, yep, I get that. So long as everyone's honest about what went on regarding compensation, play, etc., I think it's cool for people to do it however they like it. Sean Dell says, I mean, marketing budgets exist for a reason. Yes. Pete Drakulich says they trust my reviews. Well, thank you. I tell you what I think. Although I do receive emails from time to time from people who say, hey, how come I never see you give like a really bad review? And it's like, because I don't like giving stuff bad reviews. I don't want to be the guy taking money out of somebody's pocket. Unless it's a big publisher who they can take the ding, right? Daryl Arrett popped on in. Good to see you. Bradley Thorpe is with us, says, hey, Jeff, I've just started buying the first edition Pathfinder books. I already have the entire second edition. I'm building my collection. You're insane. In fact, I think, wasn't it Bradley who was talking about, hey, I just got a shipment of the like second half of all the second edition Pathfinder books that are out that popped on in. So just got a delivery. I thought that was kind of cool. W. Forge says, I think the concern about paid reviewers is that they can become shills for the companies they get their products for review from. Right. So that is a term that I use, shills. And I've been accused of being a shill. I think it was the Dungeon Master's Guide that somebody said, hey, you're just a shill. I'm like, yeah, okay. Why don't you look at the channel, man? It's like, if all my videos were just like 5-6 minutes about D&D, yeah, then I guess it'd be like, yeah, this guy's a shill, saying the Dungeon Master's Guide is pretty damn good. But for somebody who didn't even receive it as a review copy, I don't think I'm a shill. But I don't really care. It's kind of the thing. I know who I am. I know what I do. I know my attitude towards stuff. Nobody's going to tell me different. I've been around a long time. I'm not some 25-year-old kid with some anxieties and stuff like that. Nope. I've been around a lot of blocks. Hey, if you want to learn more, go check out the video, Why You Don't Fuck With Jeff. Anyway, so we got I was gonna say I'll take a couple more comments and then we'll wrap up. Keith Lewis says they're partial to a bit of Shadow Dark and Castles and Crusades. Funny enough, the next Kickstarter for Roll for Combat is Shadow Dark. They're adapting some of their Battle Zoo Bestiary releases to Shadow Dark. I don't know if, Roll for Combat's going to reach out, if Steven's going to reach out to look to have them be sponsors during the Kickstarter or what. I have no clue. But I will say, I'm kind of surprised. I am kind of surprised because for D&D and Pathfinder, I see it because, Roll for Combat's got some pretty crazy sort of monsters in that, but not gonzo in an old school way. Just oddball stuff. And I don't know how well it translates to Shadowdark, because the people who are running Shadowdark want to run something that's old school flavored. I don't know. Kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Bradley Thorpe asks, how do you feel about the multiverse setting in D&D? So the reality of it is, the way I look at it, I guess I should say reality, and we will wrap up the show by 1:45. We've been doing some really long shows this week and last. The way I feel is that TSR saw that Dungeons and Dragons was a pretty solid cash cow. And then they started releasing other games like Boot Hill, Gamma World, Top Secret. Personally, I think out of the non-Dungeons and Dragons TSR role-playing games, I think Top Secret was probably the best. I know Star Frontiers, a lot of people have very fond memories of Star Frontiers. In fact, if you follow me on social media, I had asked, what pre-21st century role-playing game do you think deserves to be remastered and reintroduced to gamers? And I said, I'll go first. And I shared an advertisement from back in the day for Star Frontiers. And then somebody, I don't know if it was on Twitter or Blue Sky, they had said, Call of Cthulhu and Paranoia. And it's sort of like, well, Call of Cthulhu and Paranoia have current editions that are out. They don't need to be remastered. Diesel Shot says, Top Secret's one of those that they still discuss in designer circles if you go deep enough to be sure. And it was relatively well supported in Dragon. And there were some optional rules or additional rules that came out in Dragon Magazine, which were really solid. They were really solid. So very, very nice. Pete Stracklich says, Marvel TSR as well. I never played it. And the only Marvel that I saw was like the real basic. It might have been like the basic set or something like that, where it was a rule book of all of, I don't know, like 30 pages. And you got to remember, this is a time when my friends and I would kind of poo-poo basic and expert D&D. We're like, oh, no, advanced Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, whatever. So, yes, I have seen some generic phase rip stuff. There you go. Pete Stracklich points out it's phase rip. That I found pretty impressive. More modern takes on it that people have released, free, stuff like that. Chris Leonard says they have a ton of Dragon mags in good condition. Man, they missed that magazine. Speaking of mags, I did a news piece yesterday about Fight On. I know there are quite a few people who hang out in chat who like the old school Renaissance. Probably my definition of the old school Renaissance as opposed to, oh yeah, well, it's got to be built on D&D, basic expert, or AD&D. Otherwise, it's not OSR, To me, OSR is the vibe. It is the feel of the game. It's the intention of the game design. And if it uses 2 6-sided dice, so what? right? For its action resolution. I don't care if it's got the old school vibe to it. But Fight On magazine is back. In fact, it's got its second issue since its return. So I think they did a winter 2024. And as I shared news, they've got I think it's their spring 2025. I'm guessing they're going to be doing 2 issues a year, maybe. But I know a lot of folks, when the OSR started out, they were like, wow, this is the old school renaissance or old school revival, whatever you want to consider it, magazine to check out. So good to see it return. And it looked like that issue is pretty packed, 128 pages, 4 adventures. Nice. Sharon O'Donnell says, yeah, the notion that a specific set of mechanics, which are not the only ones around then, define old school is total nonsense. Chuck Terrell says, I like first edition and Castles and Crusades. Sweet. I will have some Castles and Crusades new Reforged reviews very shortly. So, all righty. I think that's it for tonight. Yes. Oh, you know what? One last thing I should mention. So the fine folks over at Pulp Hummock Press have sent the premium editions of both Gods of the Forbidden North Volume 1 and Volume 2. And remember how these are big. So big thank you to Pulp Hummock Press for sending these along. Of course, I've already reviewed both volumes. So essentially, I now have 2 copies of Volume 1, 2 copies of Volume 2. Now, the one that I got first are the standard hardcover editions, which I want to say come from Drive-Thru RPG. So it doesn't have, got Volume 2 right here. Yeah, okay. So it's got like the matte finish on the pages, which I know a lot of people like. They don't want that sheen, which these premium books do have. Anyway, what I was going to say is I can certainly bring volumes 1 and 2 with me to Gen Con and put them into the auction. But if anyone is interested in picking up volumes 1 and 2, I will do it for $80. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think they're 60 or 70 each. There you go. Sean O'Donnell just said 70 on Drive-Thru RPG. Yes. So this is the standard kind of like print on demand. Anyway, so if you are interested, shoot me an email at jeffmcaleer@thegaminggang.com. It's not something that I'm going to be talking about like every show or anything like that. I'm going to mention it tonight. If no one's interested, that's fine. I'll just put that with stuff that's going to the Gen Con auction. Sweet. Okay, so that is it for this time out. If you watch live, thank you very much. If you watch live and took part in chat, tip of the cap for you. Because not only were you keeping me company, you were keeping each other company while I was sharing the news and flipping through the NPC Core. So thank you very much. Of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you kindly for watching any of the over 2,100 videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. In fact, we cracked our 15,000 subscriber mark. I think it was yesterday that we moved past that. Very, very nice. Very nice. So, if you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. And if you do subscribe, do not forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube at 7 p.m. Central. It will also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Land of Eames Core Rulebook, which is on the shelf right behind me. Yeah. Very, very nice. Very nice. And on tomorrow's show, as I promised, we're going to dive on in and take a look at Grit fantasy role-playing from Gnomebot Studios. I got it right that time. So very, very nice. So that's what we're going to take a peek at on tomorrow's show. Everybody enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and here's hoping all of you, as always, get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.